Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hobby Palooza 2023. We are blessed as Hobby Hotline to get to kick this off again. I don't know if this is our third straight year, it's at least our second. We're in our normal time slot. So, a little bit about this show. We have 16 different hosts. We usually have three on every Saturday at this very time here on this very channel, Bench Clear Media, on the first Tuesday of the month. We're on the Hobby Hotline YouTube channel itself at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. So, again, real happy to be kicking off Hobby Palooza 2023. Got a lot of great shows in the lineup for your, if you want to know who's coming up today and tomorrow. Go to hobbynewsdaily.com for all your schedule needs. My name's John Newman. I'm from Sports Card Nation. I'm going to let each guy here do their own intro rather than me do it. So, Danny, you want to go next?
Well, you ruined it. I'm Danny. Hi. Danny Black at Sportsball. Glad to be here.
Victor Roman, TrueRookieCards.com, and Victor, the Rookie Card Specialist on YouTube.
I guess I'll go. I'm King NASCAR, and I am on NASCAR Radio with Val Mars.
What's up, everybody? Adam from Heroes for Sale here, also a co-host here on Hobby Hotline, also a co-host on Hobby News Daily, the podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you're on the website, I'm also doing a lot of the moving and shaking around on the back end of the website, so hope everybody enjoys that as well. Shout out to Hobby News Daily. Also got a show tomorrow. I'm sure Danny or John will mention that as well on our schedule, maybe later on in the episode. But yeah, that's what we got.
And before we get started, too, guys, Hobby Palooza this year is going to be raising some money for a person in charity I'm very familiar with, Signatures for Soldiers. You see the email down there to donate via PayPal, goods and services. Tim Virgilio has done that now, I think, for 5 or 6 years. He had an initial goal of $500, and they're well over $100K. And all proceeds, all funds raised go to disabled veterans who need the help, whether it's building a ramp to their outside of their house or different things along those lines. It's a great organization. Tim does it pro bono out of the kindness of his heart, and he'll be at the National as he is every year. And he's also they're also the Nationals charity of choice, I believe, for the third year in a row. So a great organization. Tim's a great guy. And, glad that Hobby Palooza is picking up that torch and running with it. All right, guys, let's enough of all the house cleaning stuff. We're going to start off with a little sort of controversial topic. It's making the rounds in the news with the Topps, correspondence to their dealer network. A lot of it's really kind of makes sense, and some of it is kind of moving people's meters, including the dealers themselves, right? And I'm going to kind of go through these guys, and we can kind of tackle. One is a code of conduct. That's not the crazy thing. They just saying be a good person, don't be racist, sexist, treat everybody fairly, equally, right? I think we all can agree that's nothing out of the norm. It's just never really been worded in the way that it was, but I don't think anyone should take umbrage with that. The other thing they said is to the dealers in the store network, all the Topps product has to be together. So all the Topps product has to be in a section together. You can't have a Panini box of Prism in between two boxes of Topps. Let's start there. That one, I mean, it may be some stores having to scramble, and especially if you have a lot of wax, and sort of reorganize your displays. Does that bother on this panel or anyone in the chat? Is that something that would I think it's on the lower end of the things we're going to talk about, but thoughts on even that one?
Yeah, I'll start, John. I think I think I've survived 2 corporate takeovers, and it comes to the point where they either, when they come in and they're looking for like the old heads, and they're either going to give you a buyout, they're going to offer you to retire, they're going to fire you, or they're going to demote you. Those are one of the four things that they're going to do. And what they're really doing is, taking a look, taking stock of what's going on, and they're going to come in and clean house. And when they clean house, then they can establish the way they want things to run long term. But I can tell you, having survived 2 corporate takeovers, in hindsight, at least in my industry, it has been for the better. When they've come in and make these big drastic changes, kind of shake up the rooster's nest and kick out the old fogies and that kind of thing, it has been for the better to get that fresh reset, so to speak.
Oh, muted.
I can't hear you, John.
We just had 2 counterpoints there, right? Ruben says, hey, it'll be easier to find the product I'm looking for. And Dan Ryan said, hey, unless they're giving you the racks and stuff to display it, it's kind of shady to tell someone how to set up their store. Anyone else here want to chime in on this one?
Yeah. When I go into my LCS, he's got it all divided by sport. So he's got baseball, basketball, football, so on and so forth, right? And then he's got itty bitty racing. But
at least he's got it.
But at least he's got it. He didn't leave it at home. But I like that because I know what sections to look for product. Now that it's all by manufacturer, it's going to make it a little different. I mean, I know Topps is going to have F1 and Panini's going to have NASCAR, so they'll be a little bit separate. But that would be the big difference for me as a collector.
I mean, I think that inevitably Fanatics is going to try everything they can to improve their company and the investments they've made and the companies that have invested in them. Not everything's going to work out. I think they got a little bit of backlash. They've called, there's a conference call to clarify some points. So, I think that if the market reacts one way, they're going to take that feedback. I don't think they're going to risk losing a customer base. I think they'll find another way to meet their goals if their goals are just, tighter control and knowing where their product's going.
Yeah, in high school and in college, I worked at a shoe store, and I think like one of the things that would happen in there is, we would move stuff around in the store, and sometimes we would get information about like, Nike wants their shoes in this certain location, or like Reebok or any of the companies or any of the brands, if they're looking to sort of rebrand some of the stores, they would send, the directions to district managers and all these people. And then we would kind of get this information. I don't know if it's necessarily the same thing here, but I mean, I also look at it and say, well, yeah, obviously Fanatics wants all of the Fanatics Topps products to be together because they want to maybe put together bigger displays than what Panini is going to have. So like, and at the end of the day, like in a couple of years, a lot of the stuff is going to be Topps anyways. So it's like, if you're looking for basketball, football, baseball, any of those, it's going to be Topps. So it's like all that stuff's going to be together. And then, Panini will still have some of the other brands that they still have the licensing of. But at the same time, it's kind of like you should let the stores do the merchandising, like in figuring out how they want to have it displayed, maybe rather than being like, we need it displayed this way, or you're not going to get any product. I don't really think that's fair. But at the same time, if I'm Fanatics, obviously, if they probably want more control on like how their products are displayed, I guess.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point, Adam. In a couple of years, right? Other than hockey and some other, lesser known, companies, it's going to be Fanatics only product, and anyway, right? So it's just they want to get ahead of that, maybe with the display purposes. The next one on my talking point on the list is
John. I wanted to read this comment real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I'm not as familiar, but trading card games have been doing it for a long time. If you want to be a part of Hasbro, WotC, Wizards to Play Network, so can host events, tournaments, and promotions, then the LCS has to play by the rules. TCGs are doing well. So that's just
Yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
feedback.
That's a good
Fanatic-
point, and I think they're going to give everybody the opportunity to comply with those. Right? They're going
Right.
to.
Yeah.
They're setting the expectation, and everybody has a chance to comply. But then, if you don't comply, then there's consequences, right?
And I asked a store owner I know who I'll keep his name anonymous because the store owners are a little nervous right now not to do a lot of outward talking. But I asked them how are they going to know that you did that, and I guess they're required to take a photo and send it to Tops to show compliancy. So that answers that question. If you were wondering, I don't think Tops is going to send out people in trench coats to 500 stores with like a camera on their lapel.
But
or
that
anything
is-
like that.
I kind of maybe hope they do that, and then they could like make a whole show out of it, like undercover, like could be like a new undercover boss type situation.
Yeah.
But
Right.
that
All right,
is the challenging thing
Rick.
is, you can set regulation or expectations all you want, but then it's another to enforce them, right? And that's
I
when
mean-
things fall through the cracks.
Yeah. They're
And
going
how
to send out.
silly.
They're going to send out the Fanatics fuzz to all the.
How do you get that job? I might even apply for that. Get to travel. I mean,
What are they going to say? Your Allen and Ginter is a little too close to your Immaculate, and they have to measure the distance apart.
If
Secrets.
I was in the Fanatics fuzz, I would probably be in the Eternals affairs program very quick. I'd find a store not doing something right, and he'd be like, "Hey, John, what if I give you this card and we pretend nothing ever happened?" And I'd be like, "That's fair. Let's do it." So, all right. The next point's a little bit of a bigger sticking point to me. Cannot sell product on eBay or to other dealers, in store only. So Fanatics want you to buy their products, and they're also going to tell you who and who not you can in turn sell those to. And that's there's been things before, but not this strong of language. There's been like, we recommend or we suggest. This is not recommend or suggest. This is, don't do that or you won't be direct with us anymore. And almost everybody sells on eBay in some form or fashion. Let's be real. And here they're telling their dealers, you cannot list your boxes or your product on eBay. This one is a head scratcher to me. I mean, not in the terms of why the Tops might be doing that or Fanatics, but the fact that they're trying to do that. I don't know who wants to chime in, but I'm sure someone has something to say there.
Well, I thought this was one of the points that they wanted to address in the conference call. I thought this was one of the things that they said was maybe misinterpreted, and they wanted to clarify. So I'm going to be optimistic for now and say that they're not going to stop all online sales of their product through every other channel. That just wouldn't seem to make sense either.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. I think two things here on this point. Number one is it, and I know all too well, at least in my opinion, with the rookie card, right? If we make things too difficult, we don't look to comply. We start looking for loopholes. And so then this whole B2B thing, we'll start stipulating on that. All we're going to do is solidify a black market. And that's what's going to come out of it. And we're going to look for a loophole on how we can make things happen. And I think, we're creative by nature, so we will find a way to navigate through that. So there definitely needs to be some clarity in this aspect, or all we're going to do is start or solidify a black market.
Yeah, I guarantee you the NASCAR engineers can find the loopholes. They know how to cheat.
Yeah, but this won't have anything to do with restrictor plates, Logan. This is a whole different
Restrictor cards.
Right.
They're
going to have a governor on each hobby box.
So if I go out and buy a Mercedes, can I not sell a Mercedes to whoever I want to sell it to? I mean, that's kind of what they're saying. I can't buy something and sell it to somebody else. They're restricting those sales. I don't.
No, what they're saying is the dealership can't advertise it online and sell it online. Now, once you buy it, you can do whatever you want and probably at a markup. And that's going to be the black market that Victor was talking about.
And think about what you just said, Danny. The dealers can't sell it online. What, for a lot of stores, I would venture, not every store, but for a lot of stores, they may do more business online than walk-in. And so now you're telling that store you can take Fanatics/Topps product off your inventory list for that business, right? Sure, you can sell other things online that aren't Fanatics, but listen, they're going to be 3/4 of the market here very soon, and so you're telling people 3/4, potentially 3/4 of your inventory, you can only sell to people walking in your store, and I just that doesn't. As a former store owner, 1992 to 97, yes, I'm old. I don't like that. I don't like anyone. Here I'm buying your product and support your company, and then you're telling me how not to make money by not selling it on these channels.
Doesn't sit right, does it?
No.
Yeah. I bet you if I had sorry, real quick, Danny. If I had to guess, eventually what it'll only be like new products that they don't want you to sell online. Like after a certain date, I bet you that's when they're going to say, if whatever Prism comes out on the June 30th, you can't sell it online until like August 1st or something like that. And I guess maybe that would sort of make sense because they, Fanatics has kind of been in the business of trying to make it so that if they want people, I guess honestly, they kind of want people to run their businesses the way that Fanatics wants them to. So like, and unfortunately, like with the distribution, some people have to comply. Some people will maybe figure ways around it. But if I had to guess, it'll probably be like, there'll probably be a timeline when you can't sell it online or however, they are going to do it, which, granted, it's like, who's to say someone doesn't just like make a different eBay account, and it's not the hobby shops one and they sell it. I don't know. It's kind of a lot of these things. I feel like some of the things that they're saying are going to be hard to, for them to really keep track of all of it. So it's like, maybe it's how they want it done, but if it's not necessarily done that way, maybe they're not. I mean, I hope maybe they're not going to be super strict about it, but I guess, time will tell in this case.
So do you think that Fanatics is saying this so you don't interfere with their online sales?
That also could be. I think that could be a scenario as well.
Fanatics is going to, think about it. If you're reselling it, the reseller is going to make that profit. If Fanatics is selling it, then they're making that profit. So they're making even a greater profit by selling online at the same price that their LCSs and dealers are going to be doing it. So, and
they probably want a little bit more control over the price too, because if Fanatics is selling a box of Prism for, let's just say $300, but then a dealer is selling it for $250, like why? Granted, the dealer probably doesn't have as many boxes as Fanatics, but at the same time, it's like they just probably want more control over what the secondary market price, or even just if you're buying it directly from Topps or Fanatics, that's not necessarily secondary market. That's the first-area market. I don't think that's a word, but either way, like the direct to consumer, they want to control the price as a new product is coming out. Like they don't want, maybe it's that they don't want the market controlling the price. They want to control the price. And, that could be a good thing, honestly, because like a lot of people are saying the secondary market has sort of driven up a lot of prices of sports card boxes. So I guess it's another one, like I'm saying, we don't know what the future holds, but it could be potentially a good thing. If they're not charging an arm and a leg for a box, like if they're not charging $1,000 for a Prism box, that would be a good thing. But if they get to that point, then maybe it's not a good thing.
And that also, Adam, it's a good segue. That also is another bullet point in the correspondence. It says Topps can set a minimum price point. So Topps can tell you, and Fanatics can tell you, you cannot sell it below this price. So if you're trying to have a clearance sale and you sell it below what their minimum they set, you can get in trouble that way. That one doesn't bother me terribly, but again, they're still telling you what you can sell it for. So if you have like Tennis Chrome, which has kind of flopped early on here, I don't know if they've set a minimum on that, but let's pretend they did. You would not be able to, by their rules, you would not be able to like just kind of get rid of it and move on from it to put your money into the next top product. which is coming out 5 minutes from now. So this doesn't bother me too bad, but again, they're telling you what you can do and what you can sell it for at a minimum.
Well, my LCS, I buy F1 Chrome 2022 Topps F1 Chrome boxes from him. He is selling them to me right now for like maybe $15-$20 below his cost. And I said, why are you doing this? He goes, well, that's just part of the game. Sometimes you have the winners, sometimes you have the losers, and you have to take the loss on the losers just as much as you gain the profit on the winners. So he does discount. So he won't be able to do that for me anymore. He's going to have to sell to me at whatever price that, Fanatics deems fit. So, I don't know. I don't know that I like that very much.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't as a dealer, right? But that one's not when we rank these, that's not as high up on the list. This next one might be, right? It says brakes in store only. You cannot sell brakes on eBay or spots or team or on eBay. And we just had eBay, right? Vet authorized breakers. And now if you're an authorized eBay breaker and you're Topps Direct, you're in a catch-22, right? You're approved to sell your breaks on eBay, but Fanatics is saying, oh, not so fast, my friend, like Lee Corso would. This one, again, I just don't like being told where to sell my product. I bought your product already. You've got your paycheck. Let me dip my beak and get my paycheck, as they say. Go ahead, guys, bat this one around.
I mean, I think this is also one of the points that they highlighted to clarify at this conference call. I think this was one of the two big ones to clarify. So there's no way that they're going to get rid of secondary market breakers. I'm not sure that it's possible, and people are quite frankly going to stop using Topps Direct because that's the only thing they're controlling. I mean, you can still get the product other places. They're just controlling direct.
Yeah, this is definitely another one of those areas that I hope they talk this thing out. To me, it's going to be like the Roaring '20s when they would like go through this secret door passage.
Yeah, you're gonna have speakeasies for cards.
Yeah, they're gonna find a loophole, and they're gonna make it'll be a Discord channel or something will end up where people will find a workaround on this. It's crazy.
It's called the dark web, and just be careful.
Yeah, there you go.
John, can we give a shout out for one of the good causes we are here for today? And can you talk about the charity again and how important this is, what we're doing today?
Yep. Signatures for Soldiers. Tim Virgilio has been on Sports Card Nation plenty of times, the official sponsor of the National for the third year in a row. Would have been 4 years, but something called COVID happened. Tim started this about 5 or 6 years ago with a goal of $500. He is well over $100,000. All proceeds go to injured and disabled veterans for their needs and things they need to manage their day-to-day. And I'm a big proponent of this organization, and Tim does this out of the kindness of his heart. You'll see him set up at the show. A lot of players and athletes have gotten involved and have signed items free of charge to be sold at a discounted rate at Tim's table and online. And again, all monies go to Signatures for Soldiers, and Bench Clear Media has graciously made that the charity of Hobby Palooza 2023 as well, leading up to the National. So I'm sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead, Victor.
I just wanted to real quick shout out to Mike Moynihan as well, who really spearheaded this. And I remember he's got videos on all of this. He's been very transparent on this whole process. And I recall him even last year giving a check, handing over the check over to Signatures for Soldiers, and has really been kind of spearheading the donations that are coming in today and tomorrow.
And this year, to cut out some of the fees that were lost to YouTube, all donations are going directly through PayPal, so more money can go to charity, which is the important thing. So,
come on, Mike.
As we're talking about all these tough things in the hobby, I just wanted to take a second to remember why we're here.
You see, we always look for loopholes. That's a good loophole, though.
one final note on Signatures for Soldiers. They've also partnered up with Pristine Auctions, and so there will be a bunch of auctions running during National Week for some great items through Pristine's auction. Again, Pristine will be giving all the proceeds to those auctions to Signatures for Soldiers, and so good on them as well. So, all right, guys. I don't know if any last comments on the breaks in store and where you can sell your break spots, or we can move on. To the next two. Not as bad, but you have to report the tops on sales. You have to have a point of sale machine. If you don't have one, you need to get one. You have to report your social media metrics. So you got to say how many views you're getting, or downloads, or what if you're doing videos and different things like that. You have to promote tops 12 times a year. This one's not too bad, once a month. 12 times a year on social media. I'm not sure what the definition of promote is. Maybe just released F1 racing, and do a post. But you got to do 12 of those a year. But you have to report your sales and all your where you've sold. You also have to say, I don't know how detailed they want it to be, guys, but you also have to say where you made those sales. I went to Chantilly and did the Chantilly show, and I sold $5,000 worth of Fanatics product. I sold 10,000 in store, whatever. That I don't know how specific that is not mentioned in the dialogue, but they want to know where you're selling it and how much.
Yeah, well, it seems like a lot of information. I don't know. Maybe this seems like maybe one where they're going to draw things back a little bit. It just seems like, I mean, I think the one thing for social media, I mean, I think a lot of us, we're creating social media content. The hobby is probably the biggest industry where these companies are getting free millions and millions and millions of impressions on all of their products every single day because of Instagram, because of Twitter, because of YouTube. Like, sure, there's people that are getting paid sponsorships and all these types of things, but it's like, it just doesn't seem, it seems a little bit not, I guess, invasive, to be completely honest. Like, why do they necessarily care so much to get all of these social media metrics? The sales metrics, I guess, make sense based on kind of everything else, where this is, you have to prove that you didn't sell your brakes on eBay, I guess. I mean, that's kind of, that's sort of what it is in this scenario, it seems like.
Yeah, or the fact that you didn't sell them to your cousin so he can mark them up even more and sell them.
Right.
I couldn't agree with what Adam said more. I think there's a difference between sales data and social media metrics.
Right, yeah.
One of them involves their product and tracking sales and what's working, what's not working. I mean, none of us want product that doesn't sell on shelves, or not enough product that we want to buy. However, if the LCS has a pizza party, what does Fanatics care? There is I think a difference in the two.
I don't technically have an issue with this portion of it. I think it's building like a partnership, right? It's like, we're going to scratch your back, but we want you to scratch our back as well. Mm-hmm. And so I like, there does need to be, let's be honest, there does need to be a level of accountability here. And I think, accountability on both sides is going to be healthy for everybody. So we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah, I really don't have that much of a trouble with it at all. It's just going to be a lot of extra work for these LCSs to have to go through and gather all this information every month. I mean, it's just one more thing to have to do,
But if they do, but I think one of the things was, if they don't have the point of sale, like if you have a point of sale, it should track all this stuff. So it yeah, you're right. It'll be an extra thing where they maybe have to send the information to Fanatics or Tops or whatever. But like, if in this day and age, if you're running a business where you're selling something, the point of sale, I feel like, is just super important. Like, granted, there's probably people that, they have a shop and they just, maybe they aren't, they're not making $1 million a year or whatever. They're making enough to pay for the shop, basically. And that's because it's like, that's just like what they like doing. So, I mean, I'm sure it's probably a combination of like those type of shop owners who are going to be angry about it, where they're just like, I'm not one of these shops, that are like this famous ones on social media that are selling millions of dollars every single year. Like, I'm just selling whatever, maybe $100,000, $200,000, whatever it ends up being. So it's going to be a little bit extra for them, maybe. But yeah, I mean, it comes down to really like Fanatics is trying to control a lot of more stuff. And I think maybe it's good, maybe it's not. I guess we kind of don't really know at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Procter and Gamble wants to know how many bars of soap they sell.
Right.
This is new to the hobby, so there's going to be an adjustment period, and part of it's not going to be fair. That's why I'm hoping that Fanatics will take feedback from LCS, owners and collectors, and really implement that if that's what their goal is. So, hopefully, there's adjustments along the way, and they can react as quick as they can make some of these decisions.
Yeah, and this one really doesn't bother me along the same lines the other one does, guys. But I did have one store owner message me and said, John, the problem is, I'm a little kind of corner store. Yes, I'm direct with Fanatics, and now I have to go out and buy a point of sale machine, and I just have a cash register at the moment. Now, point of sale, I'm not an expert on point of sale units. I think they're as low as $150, $200. It's kind of a cost of doing business, but I get it. But I guess maybe the next step is Tops gives out point of sales units to certain stores that go right to Tops. Every transaction goes literally right to the Top servers, and they have like real time price data tracking. I think that's the next shoe to drop with point of sale. Again, I don't have a big bone to pick about that. They kind of want to see how they're doing, right? I don't think that's terrible. I think everyone should want to take pride in how they're measuring up or how they're doing sales wise. So, and good point by Mike, right? It's easier to hide stuff in a cash register than a point of sale unit. So that's all I have for the, there was other, bullet points there, but they were standard operating procedure kind of stuff. These were the ones that kind of stuck out as maybe not so along the norm. Any kind of closing thoughts, and we'll move on to some better talk with the National coming up.
Well,
go ahead, guys.
I just wanted to mention that a lot of this I think is going to encourage singles. And that was one of the things in one of the comments I just posted. A lot of local card shops carry singles. It's a big part of their business, and it's totally separate from Fanatics. So, I think that might be a change in some, card shops going for more non-wax products. And that might be, to Fanatics' disadvantage, and that might help, change some of the rules.
So what I want to know is, what is Fanatics going to do to reciprocate to collectors? Are they going to try to get rid of redemptions? Are they going to have better quality control? Are they going to have better customer service because of all this? I mean, they have to come back on the other side and do some things themselves, I think. So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with. I actually hadn't thought of that, honestly, but like I think that there has to because they're asking almost the hobby to completely turn and do a 180 and like completely change the way business has been done for however long. So it's like in these types of communications, they should be maybe coming out and saying, here's what we're going to be doing to make sure that the stuff that either you're selling or your customers are buying is going to be better for, whatever it ends up being. So yeah, I agree with that point too.
Yeah. Listen, Tops Fanatics has to make products and decisions that have the collector's best interest in mind. because who's walking into those stores that they want to buy that stuff, right? They need to make their products marketable if they want everything to go through those LCSs. So I think they're more, on the hook towards the collectors and consumers than the dealers. You can't tell a consumer where to spend their money, but you can make a better product that wants them to spend their money. And then where they have to go to a store. And, if I'm a store, one of the other things I want to say too, if I'm an LCS, one of my complaints would be, hey, you want me to sell only in stores, but then I'm seeing it in lids and other places that aren't LCSs. So you want it sold in LCSs only? I want to see it in LCSs only. And I know you're fighting City Hall there, and that. But I mean, you want to tell me I can only do this, then it should only be in those locations. And what if I'm buying Topps product from a distributor, right? I'm not getting it direct. I'm still getting it from Dave and Adam's Blowout. I don't have to play by Topps rules. There's that loophole, right? I could just go through the distributor and put it on my shelf. Oh, the minimum's $80. Now $60 clearance today. And then the store down the street who has to play by Topps rules can't compete with me. So there's just a lot of things. Again, in closing, there is a conference call for their dealer network next week. So let's see what sticks, what stays, and maybe what verbiage gets amended, if so.
Yeah, I wanted to add on what Adam made a great point. And I think, listening not just with the dealers, but also the hobby as well. And I think it would do, fanatics well if they were to listen to Hobby Hotline on the regular, right? So that they get a pulse of the hobby.
Right. Like someone in the research and development department. It's their job on Saturdays it's their job to come to Bench Clear Media on Saturday afternoons at 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and watch our show. You're welcome, Michael Rubin.
All right, guys. Listen, we got about 13 minutes left. Let's end on a more upbeat and positive note. We're 32 days to Chicago, Victor's backyard, and there's a big show going on. It's called the National right now, but if Fanatics buys it, as I joke, it will be called the Fanatical maybe in the future. But for now, it's the National. It's 32 days away, and I look forward to every year, as many do. You circle it on your calendar. We just can kind of open forum here. What do we think it's going to be like? Big crowds, 200,000 more square feet in the convention center than the last time it was in Chicago. It was 400 square feet last time, now 600 square feet, bigger corporate presence. Just some of your thoughts as we're going into, we're getting close here. Whoever wants to chime in.
Well, I'm excited for some of my target cards and getting ready for the National from a card perspective. Getting my 57 singles that I need, that list ready so I can go through the boxes. I have one or two bigger cards if I can find the right card at the right price. I'd be very excited to check those off, kind of my dream wish list. But otherwise, I'm looking forward and making plans to see a lot of friends and people.
Yeah, for me, it's like Christmas for the hobby. And I remember when I was a kid, Christmas was all about presents and things like that. But as I have become an adult, Christmas is more about being with my family. Well, it's the same thing with the National. It's of course, going and buying cards and looking at cards is fun. It's going to be a blast. But to me, the most important thing is to see all you guys and see all my friends. And it's like, as our buddy Eric says, it's just a big family reunion is what it is. So I cannot wait for that aspect of it. I mean, I just can't wait to give guys hugs and say hi and, all those kind of things. That to me, that's going to be the most fun.
And Logan's a good hugger if you see him.
Yes, I am.
Yep.
He's gonna wear a shirt. Free hugs today. Or if you really want to throw people off, wear a shirt that says free hugs tomorrow, but just wear it every day.
Right. Hug me.
And listen, it's an event, right? It's not just a card show anymore, like it probably was way back then, right? You got main stage. Unlike Logan, I have not yet grown up, and it is like Christmas to me, right? Seeing all your friends again, seeing people for the first time you met in the past year, whether it be online or social media, and putting a face to a name in person, shaking a hand, giving hugs and that sort of thing, right? Going to dinner with people you like, and what I love going to dinner because we can talk about stuff that's not cards, right? You're at the show for 8 to 10 hours. You're kind of overloaded on cards. I skip lunch, so dinner is I'm raring to go, and talk life, what's going on, talk family. And we got to remember that too. That as great as the hobby is, right? There's stuff outside of it too that's very important. So for me, PC wise, I'm going to try to pick off a couple of Hall of Fame graded rookies. That's what I keep in my personal collection. Victor, I'll kick it to you here.
I've been doing a lot of preparation this week, you guys, to be honest with you. I want to show you guys a couple of things, okay? So first off, this week came in the mail, right? The obligatory new pair, okay, of Brooks Beast.
Veteran move. That, people, is a veteran move.
Yes, and that's what I wear, Brooks. They are so comfortable.
There's
New
more.
Balance. Or New Balance.
There's more. Okay. All right. So here's the good thing about making YouTube videos about the National. So I went back and watched a couple of my videos from the last couple of years just to kind of get what did I need? What was it? My biggest struggle? Well, I went and one of my biggest issues last year was hydration. I just could not get enough fluid in my body. I went out and I bought a hiking bag, okay? Straight up hiking bag with the internal bladder, right? Holds up to 2 liters of water. Come on now.
Does it have to be water?
It doesn't have to be water. That's a good point. And lastly, my favorite of them all, my biggest complaint is now resolved. Yes, sir. On the go, fold up stool used in many camping trips. I love it. Had to get one.
I thought that was a plastic Stanley Cup. When you open that up again, tell me that doesn't look like a plastic Stanley Cup. Hold that over your head like you won that thing. All right, I'm going to add on to Victor's list. Right? Morning?
Yes.
Yep.
Mid-afternoon.
Yep.
Right? Use
That's
it.
right.
If not for yourself, for the courtesy of others.
Breath mints.
Yes.
Breath mints. Especially if you're eating the hot dogs from the food stand.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't.
Those really aren't hot dogs. I hate to break it to
I
you,
mean, I love them all. I'll eat them all day long. So just to me, it's really, it's like that video, the old, like there's a wrestling meme. It's just like, it's real to me. They're hot dogs to me. Anybody? It's old like one of the first viral internet videos where there's a guy. Yeah, it's I mean for me, I guess I'll go tier 2. It's kind of like a networking thing for me. Most years I've gone, like I went in 2021 and I brought a couple cards that I was trying to sell, but then like a couple little kids walked up to one of the things I was opening, and they opened up their case and they had a bunch of Patrick Mahomes RPAs, and I'm like, yeah, it looks like I'm probably not going to be selling many of my cards this weekend. But if you really want to, you can probably do a decent amount of selling. There's tons of trade nights. I mean, I always will remember going in 2019, which for maybe some people that's kind of crazy, but like that was the first national I went to in Chicago, and I just remember walking in and being like, I couldn't even believe it. And now it's like doubled in size with how many people are there. I mean, I think probably my one tip that I wish I had done a couple times was if there's a card that you want, make sure you remember the booth number. Don't just like see it and be like, I'm going to remember it, because you 100% guarantee you won't be able to find it. You won't be able to find where you were. Like, look up at the, I have the numbers up top, look at that and figure out exactly where the card was. And even maybe print out the map and like circle it on the map. So that way you'll be able to go back and find it.
Or buy it so nobody else does.
Right. Or buy it right away. Right. And I think, you'll hear this from like a lot of dealers, like later on Saturday and then Sunday, dealers will probably have some decent deals on some cards. I mean, so if you're waiting that long and the card that you want is still there, there's a decent chance, because a lot of the dealers, they don't want to come back with that much inventory most of the time. So I don't necessarily have the experience buying those types of cards, but from everybody, all the content that I've watched about the National, the late Saturday into Sunday, those are where you're going to get at least some pretty decent deals from what I've heard.
So piggybacking off what you said, Adam, this is what I did last year. I don't know if you can see it or not. This is on my phone.
Yep.
I kept all the booth numbers of where things were.
Nice.
Yep. So I could go back, because that place is big, and now it's going to be even bigger. So trying to remember where things are is going to be even harder. So that I always keep notes on my phone. That's the only way, especially since I'm older. It's the only way I can really do it.
Right.
Yeah, one thing I want to say too, if and this goes kind of without saying, but if you have a buddy and they're looking for a certain card, it and you see it, write it down, or like Logan just said, put it in your notepad and relay that information. Right, the community is a network in itself. We can help each other out. We can also buy cards that we know someone else is looking for before they do. As Danny mentioned, I have no idea what he's talking about. But, all joking aside, like have sort of a plan of attack too. That's right. Each day, right? And the less days you're going to be there, if you're not going to be there the whole 5 days, you definitely want to have a plan of attack going in. But at the end of the day, you want to have fun. That's what it's about. And if you go to the National and not have fun, you did something wrong, to be quite honest with you.
So what you guys can do, you guys can give me your top things you're looking for, and I will also be some eyes out there looking for you guys as well. And then I'll text you if the Wi-Fi is working and things are working.
Right.
Because I know last year John said that he couldn't get any kind of signal, anything last year, and then he went outside and then he had all of a sudden a barrage of messages and missed phone calls and things.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been told the Wi-Fi will be better this year. Again, seeing is believing. Seeing is believing. We'll see. Ray Schulte was just on a few weeks back, and he's expecting a modern day record for attendance. So it's going to be packed.
Okay, real quick before we say goodbye, I just want to remind everybody, Card Cutter coming up at 11 or 12 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Central. You can go to the Bench Clear Media on YouTube, and that will be a separate show. So click on there. But, most importantly, we're raising money for Signature for Soldiers, and the PayPal is at the bottom of the screen. So make sure, if you're enjoying the content today, that we take care of a good charity, because that's what we're here for.
Yeah, and one last plug for this show, guys. Everyone in chat watching, I know many of you already watched the show under normal circumstances. If you watched us for the first time today, thank you, first off. And guess what? We're live on this very channel every Saturday at the same time. It may not be Hobby Palooza next week, but we'll be back at 11 a.m. Just the same. And again, we appreciate everyone in chat. If you donated to Signatures for Soldiers, God bless you. Thank you. And thank you for doing so.
Everybody have a great day. Enjoy Hobby Palooza.